Good morning. My name is Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK. Welcome to the first episode of Groovi Tuesday 2025. I hope everybody's well. If it's the first time tuning in for a Groovi Tuesday or tuning in generally on our Clarity Facebook or YouTube pages, then Happy New Year and welcome. I can see we have some friends in the room already. I shall just wait for the chat to begin. Good morning, Mo. Mo's the first one in this morning. Sally, good morning. Hope everybody's well. The lovely Jane will be in the room with you this morning. So if you've got any questions and I missed them, then Jane will let me know. So Jane says the sound is all good. Thank you very much, Jane. There we go. Come in, pull up a chair. Helen, Mo, Sharon. Yeah, definitely a day for staying indoors and crafting today. What's the weather like with where you are today? I know we've got snow, we've got rain. We've actually got some sunshine, but it's very, very frosty and very, very cold. So yeah, so definitely a perfect opportunity to stay indoors, keep warm and get in the groove. There we go. Everyone's coming in now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Lovely Glynis is in the room as well. No. Sally's got snow. Whereabouts are you, Sally? Mo, I know Mo's up north. She's got snow. Very crispy. Yes. I think sort of north of London, I think there's snow. I don't think there's any snow left in London. I think we're forecast some at some point this week. We had some on overnight Saturday, but it was all gone by Sunday lunchtime. So because it was followed by a downpour of rain. So yeah, Berkshire. Oh goodness me. Okay. Everyone's frosty and fresh and icy or snowy or wet. So yes, I hope everybody's been keeping well. And do we have any newbies in the room today joining in for the first time? You can watch us via our Clarity Crafts YouTube page. You can also watch via the Clarity Crafts Facebook page as well. And if you can't tune in live every week at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, then you can always watch it afterwards. I know some of our friends work and they catch up of an evening, or maybe sort of power cuts or things like that. So Sally said, morning, first visit just started, my groovy journey. I'm on the northeast coast, dry and feisty. Was that feisty or frosty? I think that was meant to be frosty. Olga, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. St. Helena Island. I looked this up. I'm sure this was one. It's in the middle of the ocean somewhere, isn't it? Yeah. So frosty. I'd stop there, Sally. Frosty, not fusty. So welcome. Yeah. So just before the Christmas break, we started on a plate designed by the lovely Jazz. And then the last episode, just before Christmas, we looked at some finishing touches, didn't we, on how to attach your parchment to your card. And we looked at corner punches, we looked at brads, we looked at stitching. So you can go back and watch that. If maybe you've got to the stage now, right, you've finished a piece of parchment art, but now you want to attach it to your card. So that's really sort of useful to go back and watch if you're looking for some idea. I think I covered about 6 or 7 different ways of attaching your parchment to a carte blank. So if you're not sure about that, then go back and check that. Maybe Jane will pop a link up in the chat. It would literally just be the one before this. So we've been looking at a collection of plates designed by the lovely Jazz, one of our in-house designers. And we launched these, I think it was about November time. So let's have a look. These are 2 lovely A4 plates. So I'm going to bring them in on the overhead. So you can only see part of it. If I go like this, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is the festive one. Let's turn it around that way. So the festive one, I need to turn it that way really, don't I? So you've got your poinsettia, you've got your mistletoe, you've got some bells, You've got like a bauble, which could also be a birdhouse. You've got a star and you have some candles. And then down the side of each of them, you've got some lovely boxes with some sentiments in there as well. So this was the festive one. If you like this one, it's 42395. Never too early to get started on your Christmas cards. And then this is the Rosie one. So you've got that lovely rose. You've got this beautiful trellis work here with a sentiment. And for those of you that have been working with Groovi for some time now will know that obviously you can replace that sentiment if you wanted to. Then we have a trio of roses, we have some calla lilies, then we have a heart and a happy birthday. I really loved it. I love this corner. And you could use this corner on a separate piece, but I like the effect of the top and tail. If you take away the outer frame, then it's just a lovely piece of artwork. You also have the same compliments of thank you, happy anniversary, happy birthday. I love the font that Jazz has chosen. So you've got these available individually, but if you're interested in both, then we have an item number of 42401 for the pair of them. And I'm sure we've probably still got a saving on that as well. So because obviously we're going into the new year, I thought we would have a look at using the rose. And we're going to have a look at sort of various different techniques over the coming weeks. And we're going to use it in conjunction with this fantastic guide to grid work from Linda Williams. And Linda has used this book. It's available individually, but if you're new to sort of embossing and perforating or grid work, then these are sort of key to that. These are our little baby plates, our piercing plates. So one is based on a straight grid and one is based on a diagonal. And what Linda has done, she's literally touched the tip of the iceberg on this collection. You've got an introduction to your groovy embossing and perforating grids. You have a key that explains all the different, whether you perforate, emboss, freehand emboss, picot cutting. And then what she does is she starts off very simply with a straight grid pattern and then breaks it down into the various different forms. So this is something lovely that you could sort of work your way through as well. So that's what we're going to be using as well in this collection. And let's have a look at some artwork from that particular plate that Jazz has designed. So this one here, I wonder if I don't, no, I haven't, there we go. So where are we going? Back, forward, there we go. So this is a piece of artwork created by Josie Davidson. And this is where I'm taking my inspiration from, because when we look at that background, I'm going to break it down into different layers in a moment. But this is a real sort of, these are like, it is a sampler plate, but it's a good plate for practicing on and learning various different skills and techniques. Okay, so that one there is from the lovely Josie. Then I'm going to bring the next one in. Let's see if I can do this. This one is from Jill. So Jill has taken that rose and she's used some acrylic paint on there. And the background, rather than trace out these straight lines, she's actually used some thread, embroidery thread, to embellish that piece of artwork. Then the next one is, this is that lovely trellis. This is from Jane Telford. Look at that picot cutting. And if you want to give picot cutting a go, then don't forget Barb is doing a craft along for free on Wednesday, so a week tomorrow at 7 p.m. And all the details can be found on our website as well. So look at that lovely picot cutting. And you can change that sentiment. You can go with love, because the one that is actually on the plate itself is this one from Jill that says thank you. So more picot cutting on there as well. Used the outer frame is one of Josie Davison arch lace duet grids. So that's really lovely how it sort of ties in and complements itself. Then the next piece of artwork, we need to come back on this one. This one is from Karen Jackson. Bring it on. I wonder if I do it on the overhead on this one. Okay, this is from Karen Jackson. And Karen has created that frame using the basic grids as well. Okay, then let's go back over. Let's bring this one in. I think it was about there. Let's come in on this one. Forward. This is the Carla Lilies. This one is from Hazel. There we go. Then we move on to the heart design, and this one, I had it perfect a minute ago, was it? I'm going to do this. Okay. There we go. So that one is from Josie. You can say it's been a while. Where am I going? Right, slowly. There we go. Right. I could stretch and do my groovy yoga and zoom in, but I just thought we're going to be in and out. So this one here is from Jill Askham. And Jill has followed on with that embroidery thread to create that lattice pattern. Okay. Then the next piece of artwork is from Hazel. I love this one, very sort of simplistic in design. 2 hearts, happy anniversary. Then the next one is from Karen Jackson. There we go. Isn't that lovely? So I can just see a question that has popped up from Jennifer. Please can I ask for help? I cannot get my frames to line up to make a square frame. Okay, so if you go on to, I'm sure Jane will be able to help you out a lot, or if Josie's in the room. I know we've done a number of episodes of Groovi Tuesday where we've used the square frame on how to get it to line up. And I think Barb may have even done one back in the day when we first launched them on YouTube, because there's some really good tips and tricks on how you can get it to line up before you complete the whole piece. There we go. I'm just trying to see, where's that question got? There it is, from Jennifer. Alternative, Jennifer, if you drop me a message on Facebook Messenger, I'll try and find those links and I'll drop them into the Messenger for you as well. Okay, so the next piece of artwork is from Glynis. Lovely little bit of picot cutting there. There we go. And what I love what Glynis has done with this one, it's one of our voucher pouches. It's not a voucher poucher, it's a voucher pouch. So that makes a lovely little, you can buy these card blanks on the website, made by Mr. Dave. There we go. And then the next one is from Jane. So Jane's used one of Josie's circular grids to go around the outside. And then the final piece of artwork using that lovely, I really do love this corner. This is from Jill Askham. Okay. So that's just to give you some ideas and inspiration, and that's just using one of those plates from Jazz. So let's have a look. I'm going to keep the inspiration one here from Josie that we're going to have a look at working towards. So if I bring this one back up now, and you can see, very simply, if I compare this, if I bring the plate in like so, you can see what Josie's done. She's taken the picot circles to create our frame, rather than use the square frame that's already on the plate. Taken the design exactly as it comes, with the exception of the vertical lines. And what Josie has done is she's then infilled the background with the basic grid, and that's using the diagonal grid to infill. Let's come in on this one so we can see that. Okay. But it's a really nice way of creating colour without using colour in the back, if that sort of makes sense. So let me show you some variations, because when we launched this is something that Barb had a play with. So using the circular picot to create the frame, to go circle. Okay, so that's with the frame just as it comes, the inner part. So you could use that, and you can put anything that you like in the middle, because it's filled with, not only have you got the square frames, but you've got decorative frames and borders as well. Okay, then if you take the plate exactly how it comes and introduce the vertical lines like so. However, what happens, oh, sorry about that. What happens if you remove every other line? I say remove, don't trace it out. So now it gives it a different look. Then if we look at introducing the basic grids, what Barbara did was she had a bit of a play. So she created, I'm going to come in on this one, like so. So for one of them, this one here, has been perforated, and then the second one in has been embossed, then perforated, then embossed, then perforated. And it gives it a really lovely look to the design, doesn't it? However, maybe you want to do all of the perforate all of the background. So if I bring this one here, this has been new and it's been perforated in the back, in the back with the diagonal grid. This one here has then been embossed. So I'm not going that way. So that's been embossed with the grid, just like what Josie has done on this piece of artwork, like so. Okay. And then the final piece I wanted to share with you is using that guidebook from Linda Williams. We've added a pattern, we've embossed a pattern into the back, but we've also added in some perforating as well. I'm going to come in on the overhead. I'm going to zoom in now. I'm going to stand up. Hang on. Oh, white dot. Zoom in. Which way am I coming? There we go. Right. Okay. I'm going to come in. So if we have a look here, and we'll hold it up to the camera as well. Okay. Right. So if I bring this up like so, I need a bit of black card underneath it. Bear with me for a moment. Right, there we go. I don't know if you can see. See, I cut closer. Woo! So you see this area here, we've then perforated in between each of those flowers. And you can do that using the, and this one's been used, I think I used it with the, it's a diagonal grid. That's using, so it's a diagonal grid, and it's taken one of those patterns from Linda's Guide to Grid Work. Okay. Still have a coffee. Does that make sense? Hope it makes sense. Okay. So where did we get to before we sort of broke up for Christmas, so to speak? So I thought what we would do, we would take the plate to start off with exactly how it comes. Okay. So I've just got a small piece of A6 parchment. I just chopped it up so it was easier to work on. Then we traced out the design on the plate exactly as it comes. And the only thing I haven't done, excuse me, is that I haven't introduced the vertical lines. Okay, because what I want to do is infill this area with the basic grids. So how do we do that? Okay, so if we want to emboss using our piercing grids, then we need to be working on the back of the parchment. If we want to perforate, then we perforate from the front of our work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pop that over to one side. I'm going to take my plate mate from the starter kit. I'll zoom out first so you can see what we're doing. Stand up, really right up on there. Right, okay. Right, so I've got my plate mate from the starter kit, and I've gone landscape just so it's easier for you to see on the screen. Then I'm going to take the Groovi inset or the adapter plate that comes in the starter kit. Okay, that goes in there because what I'm going to be using are the little mini grids. And I'm going to be using the diagonal pattern. I'm going to take my glasses, I'll put them somewhere safe. Okay, and because we're doing the embossing, what I'm going to do is I've turned my parchment over so it's flat on this side. On the front, it's raised. And then I'm just going to position. I'm not really going to think about where I'm positioning. I'm just going to go central to the plate. I'm going to take some Groovi tabs to hold it in place. And before I do that, what I'm going to do, because these are all made on our laser machine, sometimes you can get a little bit of a movement in it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is use a Groovi tab to hold the mini grid into the inset and onto the plate mate. Okay. Now I'm going to attach my parchment. And these were designed, I don't know if you can see, they were designed exactly the same size as the mini grids. So you haven't got to do any shifting around or moving, just keeping it nice and easy. So that is going to be attached like so. Now I did see over Christmas, many of you had the Christmas one, and you did a lot of Christmas cards with them as well, didn't you? Because I think this comes back to something that we launched yesterday at 2 o'clock on our Clarity Social TV, and it's all about the mini makes and ATCs. And I'll be back at 2 o'clock, and I've got a very special guest with me at 2 o'clock. Barb's working from home today after doing Sunday and then in here yesterday. And then Barb's back on Thursday at 4 o'clock with the lovely Janice. Then the colouring in the evening at 7. And then we're back again on Clarity Social TV on Friday. So Barb's sort of working from home. Well, not sort of. Barb is working from home today. So I've got a special guest with me at 2 o'clock. And if you come back, we're going to talk more about the mini makes and ATCs or PTCs, because this afternoon we're going to have a look at some Groovi and the collection of plates that Josie designed. I think it was back in 2018. So you can do Groovi artist trading cards or parchment trading cards. And so these plates will be perfect just to get that little bite-sized piece of artwork. Okay, goggles on, overhead camera. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom in on a camera. There's obviously a loose connection there somewhere. Okay, let's zoom in. Okay, I reckon that's... So you can just see... Where's my Groovi guard gone? I wondered where all my Groovi tabs had gone. They're in a safe place. Okay, chair. Right. Okay, so yeah, good point by Jane. I've just picked up on that. If you're working with an irregular shape like we are here, because we've got the circle and then we've got the petals coming in, a diagonal grid is better to use to infill areas, whether you're going to emboss or perforate. Because it has been offset in its design, if you're using the straight one, it's quite sort of, well, it's straight and it's sort of quite regimental. So if you've got a curve, it looks quite odd. So yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you, Jane. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm using my Groovi guard to lean on. I'm going to use the number 2 tool in the Groovi starter kit. Has a little ball just on the end, like so. And all we're going to do now is you have to pay a little bit of attention that you don't get carried away and go into the rose. Now, another option is that you could colour the rose in first, and then you know exactly where not to do the embossing. So when we come to do the embossing, okay. The wooden tools for me, this sounds really, really weird nowadays. When Groovi was first launched, obviously Pergamano was around and it had been established for a long, long time. And you had the Pergamano tools. But because I it sounds really weird, with the Groovi starter kit with the wooden tools, I personally find the wooden tools more comfortable while I'm working. And so the wooden tools are always my go-to when I'm doing that. When I come to do the white work, then I can go to the Pergamano tools like the 6mm, the 4.5, because they've got larger ball tools on them. But for tracing out and doing this with the embossing, I still like to use the Groovi #2 tool. Okay, so what we're going to do, I wonder if I pick it up on this camera. I didn't really know when we was using the grids back in the day that what I'm going to do, I'm just going to press into the drilled hole. Okay, now I'm holding the tool as I would as if I was holding a pen or as if I'm tracing out. If you hold the tool in an upright position and you give it a little wiggle, you will get a better impression. Okay, however, to the naked eye, you really are not going to be able to tell the difference between whether you've heard, because at the end of the day, it's still got a ball that's going around the side. But I know a lot of our friends that have been doing parchment traditionally for many years will prefer to hold the tool upright. I know Tina Cox does it this way. She holds it up and gives it a little wiggle when doing the embossing. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. Okay, let's have a little sort of online, not an online vote, but a little thing. Who holds it upright and gives it a wiggle, or who holds it like a pen when they're embossing dots? Come on, let's see. So we want, let's go wiggle for upright, or pen if you hold it like a pen. Okay, let's have a look. Right, I want to see. I want to see what the response is. So Ken likes a wiggle. So what I'm doing now is, you get into it, don't you? If I come in on this camera. Okay. See, no, I can do it quicker by holding it like a pen. Okay, so Jane's gone a little bit different. She holds it like a pen and gives it a wiggle. Oh dear. Pen, wiggle, wiggle. You can give it a wiggle if you hold it like a pen as well. Just like what Jane says that she does. Upright, if I remember. It is. A lot of people like to wiggle. So all I'm doing now is just working along the row of embossed dots. And then when we get to sort of like the solid line, this is where you just need to pay a little bit more attention. Becky said upright as it's better for her arthritis. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I mean, when I'm holding it like a pen, I feel as if I'm putting the pressure on this finger here. If I hold it upright, then I don't know, I don't feel any pressure when I'm holding it upright. So yeah, it's strange. Well, not strange, I suppose it is what it is, isn't it? So what we're doing now is we're infilling the background area with the basic grid, and we're embossing the dots. Okay. And then if you're not sure, when you're going up to like a curved edge, if you're not sure, then let's have a look. If I come here, see, look, you can see I've definitely got a gap here. But what I want to do first is infill the main area, and then I can come back and have a look at these areas. Because what I don't want to do is emboss a dot right on the line, and it sort of, what it does is it changes the look of it. Okay, so let's go back over here. And we're just going to fill the pattern in. And there really isn't any thinking about it. All I'm doing is following the grid and just making sure I stay within the lines. Now, if you wanted to, I'm not saying you should, right? I'm going to do something now just to show you. So the diagonal of the grid is going this way. So for example, if I take my Groovi guard and I line it up, I've got a row of dots coming this way, and it stops at that point. I see the white part of the rose, and I'm going to go just above that white line. And what I'm just going to show you something. It's just an alternative. So, and I'm going to just run the tool down. Okay, it doesn't give you a perfect embossed dot. I say it doesn't. There's not much difference. I'm going to, right, let me do that. I'm going to move it along. I suppose it's the process, isn't it? It's all about getting into the groove. Okay, right. So this one, okay, let me do something else. Hang on. So this row, like so. So these ones here, I've drawn the tool from top to bottom. So a question from Sally Adams. Are the plastic grids better than the steel ones? Okay, so I can only talk from experience. I've always worked with the Groovi grids, the acrylic ones, the same as the Groovi plate. Excuse me. However, I have tried the original Pergamano metal grids, and the only thing I found with those is that when you're applying the pressure, if you don't use the right size ball tool, you can potentially perforate your fit. I mean, you can perforate these as well if you don't use the right size tool. But I also believe that with the metal grid, they could go out of shape. Though, although they were A5 and A4, they were quite flexible. So potentially you could, if you put it somewhere, you could bend them, and then it'd be quite difficult then to reflatten them. So if you've got the original grids, then that's great. And the tools, I know Pergamano did a stainless steel tip. I think it was on the 1 and the 1 mil. I'm not sure which one we still have in stock. Because they found with the original tool head that the metal that was used wasn't strong enough, and it would blunt the tool head, even though it was being done on the parchment. That's just what I've heard. But I've always used the Groovi grids, and for me personally, because they're a little bit deeper as well, well, they're a lot deeper than the metal grids. The metal grids was just a thin sheet of metal. So when you came to perforate, I know when I tried using the metal grids to perforate, is that it didn't hold the needle up and upright as the Groovi grids do. Okay, so for me, perforating, when I first started doing that with the grids, I found it a lot easier using the Groovi grids as opposed to the metal grids. And say I did try them, and I wasn't happy with the result I was getting when I used them. And obviously we own Pergamano now, and so as those metal grids ran out of stock, we decided that we would discontinue them. But I'm sure you can still achieve, well, I know you can still achieve the same results. But for me, it was that the bendability of them, that they could easily go out of shape if you misplace them or something. Okay, so apparently Glynis has just put me in the naughty corner. That's all right, I don't mind being in the naughty corner. Okay, so these 3 rows here, I've done the naughty way, and then this one I'm going to do as if I'm holding a pen. Okay, so if I do 2 rows holding as a pen, and then I've probably got just about enough room. So now I'm gonna wiggle like so. I'm counting. I don't know why I'm counting. I don't need to. Right. Okay. So you can see here, I'm going to go back in and fill those areas, don't worry. So these 3 rows here were from top to bottom. These 2 rows here were holding it like a pen. And then these 2 rows here were holding it upright and giving it a wiggle. Okay, so if I now take this off from here, like so, I'll just put my tabs there. I'm going to get a piece of black card. Okay, so if I bring this up very slowly, I need to take my glasses off this, I can't see. Hang on. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to bring the camera in, because otherwise I think it's going to be wobbling. Right, careful where I touch the connection, and then I'm going to come in as close as, way too close. Okay, what was that? Okay, so Jane said with the metal grids, you can't see through them on the light wave as easily as the plastic grids, as the acrylic grids. Yeah. Okay, so these 3 rows here were where I took the tool and I dragged it from top to bottom. These 2 rows here of where I've done it as holding a pen. And then these 2 here, I've done it with the wiggle technique. So can you see a difference? I don't know. What do you think? In the overall scheme of things, it's the effect that you're looking for, isn't it? And I'm not saying, I mean, it's all about the process, but maybe you want to, you need to do a card that's fairly quick and you haven't got the time, but you love the effect of the embossed dots. Then it's just showing another way of doing it. Okay, right. So I wonder if I stay like that, whether it'll go up. So if I turn it back over now, and what you'll find is that what I've done already slots back in. So if I take my Groovi tabs, hold my parchment back in place, like so. Yeah, it's definitely back in the little dots. Okay. So I'm going to take my, I'm going to just finish this little area off here. And using the pen holding technique. I don't really know, is it a technique? It's just it's not a technique, it's just we all hold the tool differently, don't we? And if you find that when you're holding the tool, like when you're tracing out, if you find that your hand feels a little bit uncomfortable because you're concentrating too much and you're really squeezing, you see how my fingers are going white because I'm really squeezing and concentrating. You can get sort of like pencil grips that go around there to help with the pressure, or alternatively, you can take the tool between those two fingers and you're using the thumb there to apply the pressure. And you can do that when you're tracing out as well. So, but I quite enjoy the process like this. What was that Glynis said? I remember Tina just rubbing the tool along quite tight and making a kind of background. Yes, I remember Tina doing that on the old Crate and Craft, and it sort of created like it was a really lovely background, wasn't it? And it, for me, it reminded like a rain shower. And it was all to do with the pressure being applied, wasn't it? Yeah, I do remember that. Okay, how are we doing? So, and this is quite, you can, if I was doing this at home, for me personally, I would have the light panel on underneath. For me, I just find that it's a little bit more comfortable on the eye. If I was doing this on my lap in the living room, I don't really want to put I've only got, in my living room, it's like an old Victorian terraced house, so the windows are quite small. And the rooms are small as well, so it gets quite dark. And so to have the light panel underneath, it really does sort of make a difference. And also it doesn't disturb anybody else in the room. If you wanted to put like your big light on, so of an evening, if you was crafting and watching TV in the background or listening to the radio or your music, and I've got one of those trays that's got a cushion underneath, and just with the light panel, it just illuminates the area underneath. And for me personally, it really does help and make a difference. Okay. So Sherry said, I remember Tina doing that. Did it light so that it gave more of a background texture? Yeah, absolutely. So then we're just going to carry on with infilling. And again, I'm staying away from areas that I'm not sure about. Thinking, oh, maybe it's a little bit close to the edge, so to speak. Does anybody have any of our friends in the room got this plate from Jazz, and have you made anything with it yet? Have you shared it on Facebook? Because I'm sure sometimes we can often get ideas and inspiration from sharing our artwork, and whether you do it on Groovi Worldwide or whether you do it on Clarity Worldwide, it just gives others ideas and some inspiration as well. And I know Gracie goes through both of the groups, and on Saturday she does a Saturday share on the Clarity Matters blog. And because what I often find with Facebook is, because you're in various groups, or you've got your timelines and you subscribe and you follow and everything else, depending on what you're up to during the course of the day, you can miss loads and loads and loads of beautiful artwork. And then you've got to find the time to scroll through it. And Facebook sometimes decides to, oh, let's do an update. And 1 minute it will sort by latest post and its current activity and new comments. And so you can often sort of get lost within a thread, so to speak. And if you're looking at it on a computer, it will look differently as if you're looking at it on your phone, whether you're looking portrait or whether you're looking landscape. All these little things can just sort of have a little thing. And so yesterday at 2 o'clock, we launched the Clarity Crafts Mini Makes and ATCs Facebook group. And we'll go into a little bit more detail with that at 2 o'clock today. But to me, it was a fantastic idea to have this new umbrella for sharing mini makes. And because it's in that specialized, not special, because it's in its own little separate group, the artwork you'll find won't get lost as easily as it will on maybe Groovi Worldwide or Clarity Worldwide. And it's something, as Barb said the other day, new year, new idea. And I think it's been well received by many of our friends that tuned in yesterday at 2 o'clock. But I'll be joined by a special guest at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and we're going to look at the Groovi side of ATCs or mini makes. And this is one of the plates that would be perfect because they're bite-sized pieces of artwork and you don't necessarily feel overwhelmed when you're trying to create a piece of art. Okay. Karen said she's used those on New Year's Day, looking for ideas for my brother's 60th next month. Wow. If you're looking for ideas for a 60th, see, I know I keep going back to this. I really love this design here. So rather than do it on a diamond, I would probably just remove this outer frame. You could use it for your sort of your guidance and then put 60. You could put 60 in there. There's happy birthday. But I think I love this scroll. And if you really, 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 really love your brother, you could do him a little heart with 60 in there as well. These are just great little designs from Jazz, and they will give you that perfect opportunity for the mini makes. How's everybody doing? It was great using the tags last year. Also bite size. Yeah, absolutely. Define bite size. Bite size depends how big your mouth is. Mine would be very big bite size. Okay. Groovy Guard definitely helps, and it helps concentrate, especially when you keep stopping and starting to see. But you just need to remember to stay within the areas. There you go. And if you wasn't chatting and stopping and everything else, it really wouldn't take much time to fill this little area like so. So this is just one way of using a basic grid. And back in the day when Groovi was first launched and we introduced the basic grid, both straight and diagonal, spit your words out, Paul. Doing something like this, not only was it quite satisfying, but it was another way of adding colour without colour, if that makes sense, because all of the little white embossed dots create its own colour, but without colour. Does that make sense? Am I just talking gobbledygook? Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I know what I mean. I don't know if I'm confusing myself. No. We had, again, it was back in the day when it was before we owned Pergamano, and we were using products that we already had in our stash, and we were using the Tim Holtz distress markers to apply colour onto the back of the parchment. But because I was a little bit heavy-handed, I never got that smooth finish, and I can't think what it was, what we were doing. Because Barbara and I, we were prepping in the studio and we was looking at the lovely artwork from the design team, and somebody had used the basic grid to infill the actual, I can't think what it was now, many moons ago, and it just looked lovely. It still retained that lovely bright white parchment look to it, but I don't know, it's hard to describe. I can't think of how to describe it. Karen says it makes sense to her, but her brain isn't normal. Well, thank you for that, Karen. I'm not sure whether that's a compliment or not. Oh. Ken says he remembers Dawn French demonstrating bite size by putting a whole curly whirly in her mouth at once. The trick is to roll it up as you feed it. Oh, I like that. I could get a little curly whirly, you know, the little mini. I could get one of those. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. I'm being distracted by all the chatter in the room. So all we're doing now, and so I'm stopping, and it looks a little bit odd because one, we're so close in. Okay. Question from Stephanie. What is a PTC? Okay. So a PTC is a parchment version of an ATC. So traditionally, an ATC, it's a piece of artwork that has a specific size to it. It's 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And you would create a little piece of artwork and it'd be like a limited edition, 1 of 1, 1 of 10, 1 of 20. And so they've been around for years and years and years. And we introduced Groovi, and I think it was Josie and Barb, they had this discussion. When Barb talks to the design team members, all of a sudden these things start to occur and happen. The minds coming together. And as a result of the conversation between Josie and Barbara, it was an idea of doing a Groovi, a parchment version of an ATC. And so we gave it a quirky name. Rather than ATC for artist trading card, we called them parchment trading cards, just to define that it was parchment as opposed to sort of artist, like you standard sort of like doodling, stamps, mixed media. So it was a different type of trading card. And there's also a thing called trading coins as well. And you can do that. There's artist trading coins, and I think they're 2 inches or 2.5. I'm sure Jane will correct me. The coins, there was just a variation on them. I think they're 2 or 2.5 inches, and you can do artist trading coins, but you can also have parchment trading coins as well. So the P just replaces the A, just to say that it's parchment as opposed to art or RT, like say stamps, doodling, pens, pencils, all that type of stuff. So I hope that answers your question. But if you want to find out some more about that, come back at 2 o'clock with my special guest, because we're going to be looking at PTCs and ATCs and all about the mini makes as well. 2.5 inches for the coins. Thank you, Jane. Okay, perfect. So let's carry on with this little bit here. So we have another full week ahead at Clarity Towers. Kicked off magnificently on Sunday just gone, the first Sunday of the month, which means it was Barb's usual 2 hours, 3 till 5, although it was 3 till 5:30, with the launch of the brand new stamp pens and the Build a Reef stamp collection from the lovely Jazz. Then that was Sunday, and that absolutely did blow the doors off. Poor Dave's still downstairs, sticking the tools together. So bear with him. while he's doing that. The demand was absolutely amazing. So Lynn says her grandson does football trading cards. Yeah, it's just another way. It's a different thing. You can get football trading cards. You can get like the Pokemon trading cards. I don't know whether they have a specific size. But yeah, there's loads of different sort of trading cards out there. So that was on Sunday. Then yesterday, it was the first episode of Back in the Shack with Barb at 10 o'clock, continuing with the alphabet and starting to introduce for 2025 at Clarity, it's going to be the year of colour. So last year it was the year of the alphabet, which obviously an alphabet continues. See, that one's a little bit dull. Obviously didn't put enough pressure. There we go. So it was back on the letter O yesterday, and O for owl. And Barbary introduced the Feathered Friends postcards and bookmark collection. So you can go back and watch that yesterday. Then at 2 o'clock, we launched the New Year, New Idea of the Mini Makes and ATCs Facebook page. This morning, it's 10 o'clock, well, it was 10 o'clock for Groovi Tuesday. Then at 2 o'clock, I'll be back with a special guest to talk about the groovy version of artist trading cards or mini makes, small pieces of artwork. Then on Thursday at 4 o'clock, Barb will be joined by another super special guest, the lovely Janice Phillips. For those of you that used to watch Create and Craft, you'll definitely know who Janice is. And she's designed a brand new collection, which Barbara and Janice are going to have a chat about on Thursday. So that's at 4 o'clock. Then at 7 o'clock, it's Back in the Shack. And this time, you're going to start colouring in Barb's floral alphabet poster. I'm going to start with O for orchid. So if you're looking this year maybe to improve your colouring in, then there's definitely a masterclass there to learn that. I mean, I've learned so much just watching. Then on Friday, it's 10 and 2. It's Barb and myself again at 10 and 2. And it's revisiting some of Barb's favourites. So I'm looking over there because the artwork's there. So it's looking at some of Barb's favourites at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, carrying on with that theme of colour. So yeah, so it's lots to do this week. What a way to kickstart 2025. Okay. What am I teasing you about, Nahid? I don't tease. Sally's ordered the bookmarks for her grandchildren to do. Yeah, they'd be great, wouldn't they? Nearly went in with the #1 tour. So what we're going to do now, you see, it doesn't, I'd say I'm halfway there. I would have been all the way there. But you can see now how it started. If I bring in this one that's completely done, so you can sort of just see what it looks like. And if I bring it in on this camera, just so you can sort of see it from a distance. It's going that way. There we go. Isn't that lovely? See, I love that. I just love that effect. Those pure, bright, white little dots. And then when you introduce some lovely colour in the background, whether you want to apply colour to the back of the parchment or just on some of our lovely companion papers or our designer papers. So yeah, I really do like that. So I'm going to carry on with this next week, but next week we're going to on camera. We'll do something a little bit different next week as well, following on from this. So for next week, I'm going to have mine completed. So in between now and next week, if you've got the time, complete your embossing of your dots if you're doing it along with me, or maybe you're sort of tuning in later and catching up. And then we're going to look at something different next week as well. Okay, still we're just working on the same plate, still the same design, but we're going to do something different. Okay, So thank you for joining me. Thank you to the lovely Jane and the design team for helping out. Thank you again, as always, for your company. Don't forget, come back at 2 o'clock with my special guest. I know I'm a terrible tease. It's going to be me on my own. No, it's not. Somebody will be sitting beside me. Yes, they will. So thanks for all of your help and your company. Don't forget 2 o'clock. But if you can't come back at 2, don't forget you can go back to the Clarity Crafts YouTube page and you can watch all the previous episodes of Clarity Social TV, Groovi Tuesdays, Craft Alongs. There is gazillions of hours to join us on. Right, I'm off to have a proper coffee. Another coffee, that one's gone cold. So see you all later.